Hello, 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 beautiful. This is Okeba Anahatara. I hope that you are well. We've finished with our holiday season. Oh, no, not with the season, but with our Thanksgiving. That was one of my last videos that I did for you guys. And yeah, we did a halfway fast and spent time with loved ones, and it was good. And so I hope that your time was very good, very pleasant, very beautiful. And with that, I want to speak a little bit about something that I hadn't talked a whole lot about here. Remember, on this channel, I talk a lot about femininity, I talk about parenting, and I just talk about different things going on in the world, just a general, just try to give you a word of inspiration. I would say it's mostly inspirational. But I want to share some advice here because it's been asked of me a number of times, and I know I have refrained from speaking too much on it, but I'm gonna talk a little bit about it, and that has to do with dating and some dating advice that I want to give to my young ladies. And when I say my young ladies, I'm talking about those young ladies that fall between the ages of around 19 to around 28, 29 years old. Okay, and that's not my age frame, but that's the age frame that statistically it's been shown that you may not like this phrasing, but this is how it's stated. You are at your highest sexual market value. That's how it's described. Now, we may not like some of these terms that are used sometimes to describe it, but really we need to understand this is kind of like a game of life. And so you can get mad at how the game of life is played, or you can learn how to play it well. You can learn how to play it right. And by play it, I don't mean become a player or, you know, you gaming people and all of that stuff. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying how to have success in your life, in your relationship life, and how to end up happy in the end, okay? How to get the things that you want. So for this young age group, you are at that peak point, meaning that you're in that age group that most men are most attracted to. That you're the women in that age group who you can get many of the men that you want, right? Simply by way of your age, by way of your youth and beauty, by way of your, for most young ladies, perceived innocence in terms of how many men you have been with. One of the concerns that happens after that 30 some odd year, number one, you tend to change. As women get older, we hit like around 28-ish, 29 years old. We begin to change. We begin to see relationships differently. Oftentimes we decide we don't want to play and hang out anymore like that, but we want something real, something more stable. The issue that comes up for women in that age group is usually the men who were available to you when you were in your early 20s are no longer available to you. They're going after younger women, all right? So these are things that you need to learn earlier, right? Learn earlier. And so that's the first reason. The second thing is that young ladies, usually they haven't been with as many men. That's perceived. I can't say that's not true because folks get their little H on. You know what I mean? But I'm discouraging you from doing that because you feel the repercussions later on, right? And we see a lot of bitter young ladies going into their 30s, not married, and thinking about all the men they've been with, and they have baggage and they have hostility, some of them, towards men, and the men are not looking at them the same way. They don't see them the same way. They want men of the same caliber. They don't see them, right? So, young ladies, it's important for you to wisen up earlier. And so one of the issues that I see with young ladies during that age group is that a lot of you ladies think that you're going to be like that forever. You don't realize that time is not on your side. Shall I say that again? Time is not on your side, young ladies. It's not. You're not always going to be that young, pretty thing that's just tight all around and you can eat whatever, and you're not always. And you're not always going to be the one who catches the eyes of the men, okay? And you're not always going to be the prettiest one in the room. So you need to have a plan. a game plan of getting really out the game, in a sense, getting out the game. And so that's something I wanted to speak about a little bit here, and I just wanted to give you some advice on that. Now, some of you during this age group, you may feel that you don't want to get married. You may be saying, well, I don't want to get married. You know, I know all these people who are married and they're unhappy or whatever. Here's what I say to you, okay? You may feel differently in 5 years from now, okay? You may feel differently in 5 years from now. So date as if. Date as if you're dating for marriage. Okay, date as if you're dating for marriage. And I say that to any of the young ladies during this age period. Date as though you're dating for marriage. What does that mean? What does that look like? What that means is that you talk to men. You spend time, you talk to them, you get to know them. Y'all talk on the phone, y'all text. You spend a lot of time in communication, right? And you're not quick to sleep with him. Right? Keep those legs closed. Keep them closed, because you will be able to think better about your values and what you want the less if you're not having sex with the man. Once you have sex with him, you start to feel some level of obligation to having to continue the relationship, some level of a commitment. Your body and your emotions start to make a commitment to this man that you've been intimate with, and he may totally not be the right one, but you may feel like you need to stay there with them, okay? So refrain from the sexual activity. Date, go out. And let me say, if it's difficult, if that's very difficult, because yes, your sex drive during this period of time, it's usually healthy and strong. A few ways to prevent yourself from being intimate is, number one, have early day dates. Early day dates. Go out for lunch. Go to the park. Go to an event, an outdoor event where there are lots of other people around, and you guys can actually get to know each other in spaces. You can talk about different things, okay? And it's not going to be only smoochy talk. Refrain from all that going to each other's houses in the evening, you know, watching late night movies, because it's going to put you in the wrong frame of reference. The other thing is try to keep yourself drug and alcohol free, because this also impairs your judgment. And it also can put you in a mood of doing things that you may regret later, right? Now, I'm going to tell you, one of the reasons why I didn't want to talk about a lot of these things and get into dating, I meant to say this early in the videos, because a lot of my views are kind of old-fashioned. I'm not going to lie, I'm very old-fashioned, and what's being pumped and promoted out there is something that's really contrary to what I think and believe. But as I notice more and more young ladies adopting a mindset that's going to have them alone and bitter as they get older, I really feel that it's important for those of us ladies who have been able to make good decisions in our lives, in our relationship lives, that we share some wisdom, because apparently the young ladies are not getting the wisdom where they are. And, you know, they're bitter mamas, they're bitter aunties. Even when I was younger, I remember some of the ladies, and I love and respect the ladies who are around me, but I know certain ones, they were like, yeah, you know, go and get your man, go and get your freak on. I ain't follow them. But this is the kind of stuff they were saying to me and to the other young ladies, a part of an organization that I was in. And, you know, I used to laugh about it, but that was the mentality, especially the women who were young during the 70s and such. They were like, yeah, free love, girl. Get your freak on, and then later on you match up. Well, the thing is, a lot of guys are pushing away from that. They hip to the game. They like, oh, you didn't want me back then when you was all hot and tight and firm. But see, now you older and you think you want to settle down. No, but see, I'm looking at the other young ladies now. I'm not even thinking about you. And sometimes, and nowadays, a lot of them are choosing not to get married because they're feeling that the women are not marriage worthy. They don't know what it means to be a wife. They don't know how to, they don't know that they have to come giving something. Most men, a a quality man who is marriage worthy is a man who takes care of himself. He knows how to handle his business. He doesn't need you for that. He doesn't need your big salary job for that. He handles that business. But what he would want from you, look, like I said, I'm traditional, and I know it. A good meal, men don't resist it. They love a woman who could throw down in that kitchen. So stop playing games. And you know how many young ladies I met who can't cook? Who cannot cook? Come on now. That's basic. That's basic. Learn how to cook, ladies. Learn how to cook. You have all these resources of information. If you don't know how to cook, you haven't taken the time to do it. Right? Learn how to cook. That's a basic one. Yes, sex. That's another one. And more than just the sex, but how you look, how you keep yourself, how you carry yourself. How men want, according to a study, right? And I'm going to put some links in there. So I'm just going to say, according to a study at this point in time, according to a study, this one study, men who were highly educated, 95% of them said they wanted a woman who was fit. Fit. Fit and slim. Right now, you know, when we talk about African American and black men, the idea of slim may be something different, but they said fit. And 70% of those men who were not highly educated. So the bottom line is that men like a woman that she looks good. She looks good, not just to him. She looks good. She's nice looking. She keeps herself well. She keeps up her appearances. You know, it is what it is. I know we're dealing with this body healthy thing, and we're saying, you know, love your curves, love your thighs. And yes, love them. Love your juicy. Love your juicy all over. But please know that if you want him, you might have to shift it a little bit. Be in a healthy weight. I mean, a lot of men, brothers and stuff, they like the badonk, but they want a small waist to go with it. Okay? The belly shouldn't be as big as the badonk, according to the guys. You can hate me for it, but, you know, it's time for ladies to start listening. It's time for them to start listening to what the men are saying and not what women are telling you what men should be thinking and what men, because they're telling you, they're selling you a bag of goods that's not going to fly later on. They're telling you, well, you know, that's just because, you know, the TV makes him want this and makes him want that. Listen, this stuff is so hardwired in men. It's so hardwired in men, you're not going to change it. So even though he might get with this one or he might get with that because she's the only one in the community, maybe you live in some small town, let that brother get up out of there. Let that man get out of that small town and start seeing it with me. Lose his mind. Like, what? He gonna lose his mind. Okay? Be the best version of yourself. Be the best version of yourself. I talk about hello, beautiful. You loving yourself first, but you can still improve upon yourself. And improve it. And right now I'm talking about improving your body, but also improving your attitude. Work on that attitude. Every man, any man who's about something, he has standards that he follows, and he has standards that he wants his woman to follow. And you have to be willing to yield yourself. You have to be willing to submit sometimes. And you have to be able to close that mouth when it's necessary to do so. Right? And I know that's a hard one, but that's an important one. That's the one that'll keep your relationship together. That's the one that'll keep him there once you've gotten him there. Ashe, that's one of the ones that'll keep him there. All right? So, make sure I've covered everything. Oh, so for the dating, and I mentioned about different ways that you can go about preventing yourself from being intimate, and I was talking about those different things. Something else with your dating, right? You want to find a good man when you're dating. Find a man who is honorable, who's respectable, who has leadership about him, who's taking care of his business, right? Because this is also what the research says. They're not looking for you to have to be the top dog, the big money maker, the highly, highly educated. The research says, that men are not very attracted to women who are more ambitious than they are. So all your drive and everything that might get you accolades into the world isn't necessarily going to turn his head for wanting to be with you. unless he's planning on mooching off of you, unless you want the type of man who is going to want you to take care of him. And I don't promote that. I told you I'm a traditional woman. I don't promote that. Not at all. I believe that a man has a role. It's his job. It's his duty to take care of you, to look out for you, right? It's important for him to be able to provide a roof over your head. Once y'all are married, I'm saying. A roof over your head, and that there's food on the table. But it is your job as the woman to ensure that that home that he has provided is clean, is orderly, that the food that he insured, the money to make sure that that food is there, that that food is cooked, and it cooks healthy meals for him and for the children so he can go and do what he does. Of course, you can work. You don't have to be a stay-at-home mom. You can work. You can work, and I do believe that women should do things that are of their liking and of their choosing that are productive. The first productivity is your children, making sure that they get the first of you, right? But still, a lot of that responsibility is still going to fall on you. And to understand that and to be at peace with that. You guys can share more of it, right, with your responsibilities when you have a lot of responsibilities outside of the home. But quite frankly, more of your responsibilities should not be outside of the home than in the home. The woman is the lady of the house, and she's the keeper of the house. She makes a house into a home. So whether you are on the job or not, you're the one who's making that house into a home. You make it into a home. And you do that by all the love that you give in that home, all the care, all the decorating, all the warm, delicious meals that you can smell, by cleaning it up and by fixing it up. You make the house into a home. That's what you do. That's your job. That's your responsibility. Okay? So you find a good man that has leadership about him. And you rest with that when you're dating. That's what you look for. And then you deal with each other exclusively on that end, right? And you know, sexual things may come about after that particular point in time. But you don't get all into that before that hand, because it will mess up your judgment. The other thing is about children, right? Refrain from having these children, ladies, before you get married. And I know people don't like how some of that sounds, but a lot of men don't want to take care of somebody else's child. Whether he's a good man or not, he sees that as there's a problem there. There's also an innate nature about that, right? That's part of the evolutionary process, where a male does not feel the desire or the drive to take care of another offspring. And you can't get mad at him. You can't get mad at him for not wanting to take care of someone else's child. And also knowing the way people act, that's probably going to be some conflict down the line, right? So you don't even put yourself in the position of it. Part of the way you keep yourself from getting in that position is by not being intimate, by not having those sexual relations and getting too deep on that level with someone who's not going to be your future, okay? This is what I'm saying. So this is some of my advice to you. This is some of my advice to you. You know, you have self-worth and you have self-value, of course, but understand your man, or men don't look at it the same way that you do. You might say it's shallow. You know, they want women who look good. They want women who can do all those things. They can cook. They want women who smile, who are pretty, who keep themselves up. Yes, you might think all that stuff is shallow. They don't want women who constantly talking all the time. You always got to have the last word, being loud. Whatever. You might say all those things, but listen. It'll get you a husband. And if you want to stay single, then listen to those women who are single and bitter. If you want to get married, then listen to women who are happily married and women who are not bitter in the long run about marriage. All right, that's it for now. There's a lot more I could say on that, and I'll try to put a few links in there. But that's it for now. Send this to someone, a young lady, if you think she needs to hear it. Which I'm sure many of them do. Send it to a young lady. Subscribe if you haven't. And that's it. I will see you next time. Peace.